expectation should be a quick and clean victory. And given the overwhelming expectation of the fans, that is what everyone is feeling like. And for DRX, it's up to them to play spoiler. Maybe getting a good start in game number 1 could be that turning point to kind of get the pressure to get to KT.
Yeah. We're going to start off with a lot of AD carry focused bans here. Also the Talia, which has been a comfort for quite a while. Might mean that Setab is going to pull out the Azir. There's a lot of things, as we've seen, that can go into the Azir. It's not just the Talia, even though that is something that BDD is extremely proficient on, as Jax is going to be banned here. Jax currently sitting on a 25% win rate across the first 3 weeks of the LCK. But still, they want to take that away from us.
ว่าวันนี้แบน AD ไม่เยอะนะถ้าเกิดเป็นวันอื่นนี่คือบางเกมนี่คือแบน AD 5 ตัวเลยนะคุณฟัง LCK
He picks every time. I don't think that's a counter matchup.
นี่คือแพทที่แล้ว
I think it's a skill matchup.
แพทที่แล้วมันโดนปรับไป2 รอบรอบแรกคืออัปเดตซีซั่นใช่ไหมคุณฟังแล้วก็ผ่านไปสักประมาณอาทิตย์นึงโดนแก้อีกรอบนึงเพราะว่าไอเทมมันเวอร์เกินแล้วก็แชมเปี้ยนบางตัวมันโกงอะไรเงี้ยแพทที่แข่งปัจจุบันก็เป็น 14.1 ที่ผ่านการรีเวิร์กแบบกลางแพท
Deft and Barrow, as were mentioned by the space already, utilize this pick really well. And freeing up Barrow's creativity is not something that you want when you face him.
Yeah. I wouldn't have mind them going for just a later pick onto like a Jinx Tahm Kench, because that is one of the bottom lanes that has worked for them, which, you know, they haven't had a lot of success, but instead, they will go for this one. The Nautilus is picked up quite early on. And it's a great setup for the Rumble, of course. You have a lot of CC, you hold people in place, and Rumble just burns them to a crisp. Now the Tahm Kench is going to come out anyway and be there alongside of the Senna.
Not the most exciting pick. Sure, KT's bot lane looks and I'm like, that's the best you can do. Kench.
Are they going to slam Azir here?
I think they might. I hope not. We do know how we collectively feel about the Azir. This is good though. Sponge has actually been good in the Sejuani. You haven't really given away too much, and you don't fall into the early trap of an Azir, which BDD is gonna counterpick. You know, BDD not our most noteworthy, as the Draven gets locked in. I was going to say our most notable melee player when we have so many other ones, but he can play a fine Akali nonetheless. The Draven locked in though. This is a pick that Deft has pulled out in many high-stakes moments. Sometimes to great success and sometimes to him just kind of being there and not a whole lot happening. The early laning phase I think is going to be nice, but one of the key issues that you do have, I think, with this Draven lane into specifically Kench is that post 6 it can be really hard to reliably get him snowballing, right? You really want those stacks to cash out, and Kench is always going to be a bit of a pain to deal with in that regard.
Yeah, it does feel like almost a risk they didn't quite have to take. It's almost how I feel about this pick. And, you know, Deft is pretty good at it, and Draven can get a lot of value, but yeah, I think they could have gone for something a little bit more standard, a little bit more meta, and just kind of ran with it. But instead, we are going to see the Draven. The Akali does get banned away. And so maybe BDD himself wants to pick up the Azir.
Could be. Maybe you want to use Pioshik here for the counter pick. There is, of course, also the flex potential. Rumble could also be flexed towards the jungle. And we haven't talked about it at all.
คือแพทนี้ส่วนใหญ่โดนแบนกับทุกเกมเลยนะแต่ว่าถ้าเกิดว่าสมมติว่ามันไม่โดนแบนกับคุณผู้ฟังที่คอกิก็จะโดนทีมใดทีมหนึ่งใน LCK หยิบขึ้นมาเคยเจอในแรงนะแต่แบบรู้สึกว่าเดเมจมันแรงแต่ว่าไม่ค่อยเจอในแรงไทยคือรู้สึกว่ามันแรงแต่มันก็ไม่ได้
and is giving their comp way more longevity. If you look Draven, if you look Rumble, then it really feels like you need to win in early to mid game. Not going to be the case here, as no really big surprises coming out just yet, as the Aatrox does get locked in here for Rascal, which it's fine. You know, it's there. Obviously, we would not like this, but this is in line with what DRX have been doing previously, giving Setab a pick that he clearly feels the most comfortable on. I would love something aggressive a lot more. This is something that Setab has played in Challengers. He has a Sejuani, and it's a matchup that can actually threaten the backline. So I'm really happy with this. I don't know if it's going to work, but this is a very necessary change in the drafting strategy from me when you look at what DRX have gotten for themselves here.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this a lot compared to what it could have been, you know. Poppy.
Big Rammus, it is full AD. Yeah, it's so 1v9. He didn't. They were hinting towards, imagine.
Like 4 different players were hinting towards the Rammus.
I know,
so I feel like a little bit of a...
but I'm actually like, look at what they have though.
Yeah, but it's Rammus, so, you know.
Percentually
it's not a good
at
pick,
the moment.
Ideally.
Valdez.
You wouldn't want to pick it, so. I like the Poppy a lot more. I think Poppy is, I think it should be picked more often. It's good not only into like champions that dash or, you know, stuff like that. You have so much disruption. You have so much zone control, and then also you can just knock people away and win team fights just with her Keeper's Verdict. Very strong, gives a lot of space to the Corki as well to potentially scale up in this game. And we saw yesterday, I believe it was Life Esports that used to run the old Corki and Callista combination. This is kind of similar where the Draven, you know, early to mid, you would like them to pop off, and if not, you have the Corki eventually that will scale inevitably to his 3 items.
You have an insurance policy, right? If it doesn't work out, if you don't get the Draven fed, gonna get a lot of value out of that. The Poppy pick, I think, is a stroke of genius because barring Teddy in like 35 minutes plus territory, this is effectively a full melee comp, which you have incredible disengage into with that Poppy. We'll see if that's enough for DRX to get a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hop onto the rip for game number 1. Here we go, game number 1 of Saturday Showdown.
นี่เขาพี่บอกของไอเทมซัพพอร์ตกันเหรอเฮ้ยเพิ่งเห็นนะเนี่ยทีม DRX ไม่เอาของซัพพอร์ตอะ
How you feel about this Saturday Showdown?
I think
ไม่แบบนี้ไม่มีบอร์ดนะทีม DRX ไม่มีไอเทมซัพพอร์ต
I think it's going to be pretty quick, to be honest.
หรือว่าเขาออกผิด
Narratively, I think it's a smash dunk.
Yeah.
เพราะถ้าเกิดไม่ออกไอเทมซัพพอร์ตนี่คือนั่นนะนี่เซนน่าเห็นปะมันไม่มีไอเทมซัพพอร์ตก็จะกลายเป็นว่าทีม DRX ไม่มีวิชั่นเลยนะคือไม่มีบอร์ดให้ปักเพราะแค่บอร์ดจากเครื่องประดับมันไม่พออยู่แล้ว
Because I do agree with you. Would have been even a single game win. I think for DRX would be a really big boon to them with how much this roster really has been struggling, and particularly how just hasn't really come together. And we go to teams like ForeverVoid and Nongshim. Nongshim to a lesser extent. I think ForeverVoid definitely is the better of those two teams, but we know what they try to do, and sometimes it works, sometimes it fails in a rather spectacular way, but at the very least you can kind of get an identity out of those teams. For DRX, we are almost through with week 3 and we're still not really seeing it. Maybe this is the match, Valdez. Just maybe.
Maybe. I do feel like, again, to reiterate, I think that KT is a very strong team right now. And the fact that they lost to Quantum Freaks is not a big deal. Okay, in hook range here as they hit level 2, Pleta gonna take a big chunk of damage. They do have some sustain with the Senna, but very early on it's not gonna be too much. But yeah, I gotta be careful about that. Pleta himself had hit level 2, so not the end of the world.
Yeah, also note that they are able to, that is unfortunately not looking too hot here early on. Do want to highlight that with the teleport being available as well as double non-support he is spotted, do note. And Sponge will be able to just make his way over. And I don't think there should be anything that they can really do here. Trying to threaten a dive on the crash, but not going to be the case. I would have ordered that cannon, Rascal. Didn't end up doing that. And Pioshik already looking for some early aggression. It does mean that he is going to fall behind on his jungle clear. Saves up low though.
Take a look at Sponge though, good positioning, kind of reading the play, but Pioshik, wait, he has avoided all, okay, well Sponge is still here. The timing on the crash, I think a bit lucky there for Sponge to stick around, but yeah, either way, he He is going to avoid the dive. That could have been pretty disastrous this early on.
And he might not be diving, but Pioshik is flipping a little bit here. Obviously going to take a pretty big hit on his early pathing. Now he does have a really, really solid
หรือว่าอาจจะเป็นแผนใหม่ก็ได้คุณผู้ฟังเขาอาจจะลองในควิกเพลย์มาแล้วว่ามันอาจจะเอาไปเล่นได้คือไม่ออกไอเทมซัพพอร์ตก่อนต้นเกมแต่ได้เดาะกลับบ้านอาจจะออกก็ได้หรือว่าช่วงกลางเกมหรือเปล่านี่เดานะ
which is quite nicely done. What I was going to mention is that Plata has gone for the
บอลกลับบ้านคุณผู้ฟังคือให้ฟาร์มก่อนตอนแรกแล้วก็กลับไปค่อยออกเนี่ยเซน่าออกแล้วเวิร์ดแอดลาสไอเทมซัพพอร์ต
You don't really have to do that on the Poppy. You already double scuttled. Just clear the rest of your camps and go reset.
แต่ถ้าแบบนี้ DRX ก็จะเขาเรียกว่าอะไรนะมีไอเทมซัพพอร์ตช้ากว่าฝั่ง KTก็เดเมจอาจจะขาดนิดนึงเพราะว่าไอเทมซัพพอร์ตก็ให้เดเมจมาในระดับหนึ่ง
free void grub here when they do spawn in about 15 seconds. Given that Pioshik still is gonna have to base, we'll see if he does that after he clears his bot side jungle or not. But the laning is unfortunately for DRX looking very rough here yet again with CS disadvantages in both top and mid as they meet each other again.
พี่ป่าสองคนนี้บังเอิญเจอกัน
tabs on them as the Tom Kents here taking a big brunt of damage from the side of Deft and Barrel. And Plata.
ป่าสองตัวนี้เจอกัน2 รอบแล้วเจอกันเกือบตลอดทั้งเกมตั้งหลายวัน3 รอบแล้วนะเกมนี้คือจังเกิลแพทนี่แบบบังเอิญเจอกันตลอด
which is something that we have seen a lot, but Teddy can't really afford to take too much damage, so good that that hook from Barrel doesn't hit. That would have been a bit of a disaster, and as we do see, Sponge was able to utilize the early tempo lead that he did gain by Pioshik being spotted multiple times to get himself an early objective, but that's the most he's going to get because his lanes are not doing so hot.
Yeah. Lane's not feeling great. Pioshik looks like he wants to stick around for all 3 of the Void, but actually, as I say that, he runs away. So it's going to take 1 of those. And now he's looking to the top lane, actually. Equalizer comes down, and I suppose it forces the World Ender. As here's Satab looking to bait in BDD, and Sponge's flash does nothing, and BDD just Valkyries away.
Oh, that's unfortunate from Sponge. I'm not sure if he messed up the Q flash or whether he like just didn't have the range, but without that hitting, you're not going to kill BDD. Doesn't even force the summoner there. Rather unfortunate. So nice attempt from the jungler from DRX, but summoner for nothing, especially without Hex Flash, is always going to feel pretty bad. And yet, I just want to reiterate, this Aatrox was picked face up into the Rumble. He did go for Comet, and he will go for Hex Drinker first, right? So there is some better, I want to say slightly better laning phase in the horizon, maybe, for chat.
You're really struggling.
I'm not
to find the angle on this one.
It's rough. I do think that Rumble is one of those picks where it is really hard to find reliable things into him, but already being this far down with minimal jungle intervention, not going to feel good about that.
Yeah, I mean, early Swifties, as much as Huni is going to hate it, it does make it very difficult for Aatrox to hit much of anything, right? And you're just dashing in and out, you're still doing so much damage early on, and Aatrox isn't really able to hit you. There was also that early pressure from Pioshik, which kind of like made Rascal look for trades and not really farm as well, so all these little things adding up. As Pioshik's going to find Sponge again. Take a look at this. This is what I was talking about. Sponge is level 6 first, as Steph with the sidestep. He still has his flash and his cleanse, but the Devour comes in onto Barrel, and he is just dead. Sponge with the first blood in the bottom lane.
Really nicely done there. I think they caught KT a little bit off guard. Deft is pretty happy to be relatively far forward because he has his cleanse available as well as flash. But then Barrel is standing there like, there's no way they're going to go for me. And then he just gets eaten by Plata. Plata just delivers him. So nice early play here. And DRX showing some signs of life, not alone by itself, but anything we'll take from this team, given how they have been performing thus far.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of on Beryl. You know, you gotta notice the stacks and where you're at, and if you're able to be devoured and all that stuff. And he has flash available. He's just like, nah, it's fine. I mean, it's Beryl at the end of the day. Speaking of which, looking for a play now. He is level 6 with ultimate available. He is going to get on top of the Senna, and then into the wall does go Teddy, but the flash comes in, and it's not enough damage from Deft to get that execute. And that's only the flash.
ถ้าสมมติตีได้สัก2 ทีน่าจะฆ่าได้อยู่แต่ว่า
Yeah, Teddy actually nursed the steal there. Deft was sitting on about 200 stacks. Teddy has heal. Ult comes at him. He's like, no, I'm not dying from this. Definitely a risky play because that might just end up killing him. As we take another look at this, this is what we were talking about. The early experience lead for Sponge actually does a good job. And then
ถ้าเกิดแฟดเร็วกว่านี้อาจจะรอดนะแต่ว่าน่าจะลืมดูสแต็กของทางเคนอะเพราะทางเคนพอครบ3 สแต็กมันลืมได้เลยเนี่ย
Just counting 1, 2, 3. As we have another fight here, Perfect in some trouble, but so is Sponge. BDD doesn't hit his stuff, and Pyosik comes over and saves Perfect for the moment, just so that Teddy can clean up the kill instead. As Beryl in mid fighting a Yone, but DRX, man, they're winning these fights.
And a lot of it comes from the power of the Sejuani. I think we saw there as well, because they went for the Yone, both top and jungle are actually a really good lane to play through. Setup's individual Yone performance, I think he just straight up missed his old barrel there, which isn't ideal. But at the very least, he was keeping Barrel away from the play, which I guess is a win. As we take another look at what actually happened here, Perfect. The idea, I think, here is right, but you are going in on the Sejuani. Really good ultimate there from Teddy. Actually, I think ends up being the difference maker. And the play there from Perfect by itself, not the end of the world, but you need the rest of your team there. And in general, the Rumble is really, really strong, but I think ideally you want to play more towards that bot side and not take too many risks with this Corki, because at this point, Corki just isn't going to offer that much. Even if they would have been there, you're basically relying on Pyosik slamming someone into a wall and then 100 to 0ing them within that time frame.
There's no worse feeling as a mid laner. You're playing like a scaling pick, and your jungle and top just continue to fight over and over and over, and you're like, guys, I just can't help. I'm getting pushed in by an Aurelia. You know, like this happens all the time.
Just go Scorch.
At any level.
Just go Scorch.
Perfect might be in some trouble. He doesn't have flash, and there is a Sejuani with ultimate available, with flash available. Sponge is backing. Perfect. It seems like he is respecting this possibility.
Yeah, but it's not getting better. It's kind of the problem for him.
I think you gotta go for it.
Yeah, they do.
Just send it. Sponge! No! Well, now he's spotted. Okay, well, now you shouldn't go for it,
but
actually.
At the same time, it's really funny because he doesn't have to be there for this to be a rough situation. I think finally now the freeze is broken and it'll push back, and Perfect still has a decent amount. But I do want to give credit there for a rookie, especially like reading a play like that and actually his positioning. It's quite nicely done. Could they have made the play work? Yes, because Sponge had flash and ult, and Perfect didn't have his. So I think they could have just forced it, but one risk it is Pyosik.
Yeah, he's way too far behind enemy lines here. He's going to run into Sponge again, and this keeps happening in this game, but slowly but surely, it's not looking like a positive for Pyosik. And Unbound Soul comes through here for Setab. They're not going to follow on this, especially with rotation coming in from the bottom lane. But yeah, I don't know. Pyosik has been, you know, looking for these very risky angles, and this time he gets caught out.
And for KT, we're not really going to be too worried until one of two things happens. Either a DRX starts stacking a lot of these dragons and they get to a position where maybe they can force a soul fight before BDD is online. BDD is farming really well, also picked up a call, so he's going like maximum greed, trying to hit his spike. Says, yeah, no idea. I think he assumed it wasn't warded, but I definitely didn't do a very good job because there was a control.
Well, there was a Sejuani there.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's also the biggest issue.
Yeah. Yeah. Not too sure about that one. Why was that for up, even with his bot lane being relatively strong? But that or Deft dying, because Deft is sitting on a large amount of stacks. I don't know much where exactly he is. I imagine he's like around the 300 mark.
I'm gonna say 389.
All right, I like that.
Yeah,
it's a good amount of stacks. Him dying would be really detrimental, I think, to KT's strategy. And on the flip side, if he gets even a single kill, if they find someone with this combination of Perfect, Pyosik, and Barrel, then from that point on you're kind of vibing. This next Drake though going to be really big. We do see a lot of vision control being given to KT here in the river. As you can see, multiple control wards. We'll see if they can find a prior package is available for BDD, and I'm pretty sure KT really want to contest this.
Yeah, I mean, they should at this point in time. Even with just a package to zone, although Sponge is very strong and so is Teddy, so they're coming in here, and you see DRX don't want to give this one up without a fight. TP coming in, and Aatrox coming in from the top, and yeah, as you mentioned, package is used very defensively, and they just have to go away. Barrel just trying to peel for his team. He's got a flash out of the chains, and they say thank you for the leash. We had more people. We will take this dragon.
And nicely done there by DRX. We'll see what KT can get. The moment that Rascal starts roaming as a Barrel, good hook. I don't know if he wanted that one.
Jonah Strong's getting excited. Yeah, if those chains hit, here comes Satab actually. Could throw in an ult, but instead decides not to.
Yeah, this is the one downside that you do have with the Ignite specifically. If you don't follow the roam, your team will be a member down. I think KT got to be happy as Plata makes a relatively big mistake there. Does have to use his flash. That they didn't give up any kills, because a kill or two to Satab or Rascal could have really been very debilitating. Not going to be the case. And at the very least, the gold remains even. This is Infernal though. And DRX are already sitting at 2 Drakes to 0.
2 Drakes to 0, and a very deep TP is coming in here. Now Piosik is nearby. So if Plata was hoping for a one-on-one,
I think he was completely out of vision, but there yeah.
Okay, well, this isn't working out very well. They know he doesn't have flash, and interesting. We do have the Rift Herald being thrown into mid, and that is going to do a nice chunk here to this turret, at least.
Game's getting a little funky, Valdez. So what happened there is they obviously didn't know Piosik was there, and I think that Plata was able to TP out of vision and then take a blast cone into the brush. He was like, yeah, BDD can't see me, but at the same time, even if BDD doesn't see you, if he has his W, I don't think you're ever really going to be able to deal with him. So that was a very optimistic play that got promptly punished, and we do see, and this is, I think, mainly credit to BDD, this has been mega consistent with farming, picked up a call as well, went for first strike, and right now is also the full recipient of that first tower blood. So his level 3 or a 3 item spike raider as Corki is going to come maybe in time if DRX aren't quick enough on these next objectives, right? If they don't really pick up the pace with these dragons, that's going to be big, because the engage from DRX I think is alright, but it's not amazing. Just a Sejuani alone is, it's okay, but I think you are reliant on Yone and Aatrox having a really good follow-up. That relies on map control. While in the lanes, I think it's still going to be tough here for DRX to find position.
DRX have done a nice job early on in this game. And, you know, credit to them, they found 3 angles, 3 kills, a couple of Drakes. Void Bubs, you know, they got their 1, which seems to be just the way things go nowadays. Both teams get 1, unless they have a committed split pusher. But the gold is still down for them. And BDD is going to be the biggest issue, as you already pointed out. So if BDD is just sitting here on even gold, and they're just chilling, and Deft hasn't died yet, I think that KT are feeling just fine. You know, they don't feel that far behind. They have very nice scaling with one of the most OP champions in the game right now. It's Snow Cassante, but you know, it's pretty good in Corki, and yeah, they're just hanging out, just trying to not die essentially at this point in time. They will have to, of course, play for these Drakes, which there is one coming up in a minute and a half. Perfect is going for the play here. Nice burning down already. Yeah, the Maul Mortius was the first item, as Barrel is just dead. No, the hook comes through, he is fine. As now Deft is ganking the Aatrox, and the Senna ult doesn't matter. And Deft gets a massive cash out in the top lane.
ดาวินน่าจะรวยแล้วเพราะว่าได้ค่าคิวแรกโน้แบบเก็บสแต็กมาตั้งแต่
And this starts with Rascal, I think, because he does have full MR itemization, feeling like maybe he can take down Perfect, right? He was the one that kind of started it off. Went all in because he got a couple of Qs. He has both his Maul Mortius as well as his Merc Tread, so he's like, I can take this, right? This is maybe winnable. The problem is that Rumble is still an insane amount of damage output, and he is Ignite, right? So Rask ends up going low, and Deft, out of seemingly nowhere, blast cones his way over. The ultimate, even if it would have hit, wouldn't have been enough. And that is a, if I'm not mistaken, 1155 cash out, which is why the gold lead went from even to now 2k here for KT. So that's the breakpoint that they've been looking for. Malignance is done now on BDD, and I think the early game from DRX, all things considered, pretty good. But KT, I don't think they were really ever worried. And right now, they're going to be feeling great.
Yeah, at this point, you take a look at the gold graph.
Look at that.
A thick jump down.
I don't think there's a lot of champions that can...
fell off a cliff.
Yeah, that can actually do that. Like, specifically that much gold.
Yeah.
Because normally it's like if you win like a team fight, it's like a little bit bumpy. No bumps.
No bumps. Straight down. And, yeah, I mean, Sitev's not going to steal the drink. So... now they have Deft online. They didn't really before. He was still waiting for the stacks, and he did get the big cash out, obviously. So now he's online in a big way here in the mid game. BDD's still scaling up. And, yeah, I mean, DRX, they're going to have to do something here pretty quickly if they do want to avoid the Corki power spike. But at this point, you know, giving up the Drake.
Kill Barrel. Just kill him.
You know, that has been their game plan the entire game. And they will. They did it. They got it. They killed Barrel. Nicely done.
Start Nash? Question mark? They can't. Unfortunately, I don't think they actually have the damage available to get through that right now. And their damage is pretty lackluster when it comes to Nash. I think most of it will be like Sponge and Satep. Satep with his Blade the Rune King, Permafrost, when you get repeated stacks, can actually be pretty alright at getting through the big objectives. But yeah, as long as Corki's alive, I don't think a whole lot's gonna happen. And Barrel's just like, yeah, you killed me.
Satep, ult available, but they're TPing into this one. They want to go for a play, actually. Ult gonna force the flash out of Pyosik. They immediately turn onto him. But yeah, getting the flash out of Pyosik still going to be pretty valuable there for Satep. It looks like that TP was denied.
It was also flat out TP. It's like much less threatening than Rascal is. Good cancel though. You know what? Maybe not. Maybe it is just all about Kench.
Generally it is. Ooh, nice play here from Barrel, setting this one up as Draven damage is going to be coming in, but Barrel now getting pretty low, and Rascal is going to take him down.
Perfect.
Perfect's coming in. He doesn't have Equalizer, though, so they're just going to have to let that one go as Barrel, once again, going to hit the floor.
This one was a little bit more valuable. The gold lead actually now has been reduced. DRX is looking a little bit better, and a lot of these kills are going on towards Teddy. And I still don't know how DRX is going to reliably deal with Corki, because again, you do have a decent amount of engage with the Sejuani, but Corki is really hard to reliably get on us. We take a look at this one. This one, well done, a lot of investment, but I don't think KT are really going to mind. Just a nice play from DRX, and Barrel overstepping a little bit. This one though feels a little bit more, I think, on the team. Initially it looks, Barrel goes for an aggressive flash in there, which is a cool combo, but I don't think it was even remotely necessary in that specific situation, the way that like Lehens and Execute have shown us, because there wasn't the immediate follow-up that they needed. And these kills have kind of brought DRX back in a position where I think they're going to be feeling a little bit better. It's all about this Dragon though. If they set that up, DRX can set up some forks later on where they force KT in unfortunate positions, and I love the little the gold dunk, and then immediately we're actually going back to parity.
Slowly climbing.
Yeah,
we're hiking back up the mountain here for
that we base jump
DRX.
off of.
Yeah, I guess so. I really want to see Teddy's stacks and see how well he has done, because yes, the kills and the gold are nice, but the stacks also pretty important. Surely we'll get a look at that eventually.
Have you seen the new Mission Impossible?
No.
Okay, because it's a great movie. I highly recommend. He's sitting at 70, by the way.
Nice.
So it's okay. It's not great. They do base jumping after they drive a motorcycle off a cliff, and they jumps off the motorcycle.
As you do.
As you do, yeah. It's Mission Impossible. Yeah, that's kind of kind of trademark. Fun movie. I know you're big on movies, Valdez.
Yeah.
You watched a lot.
I like watching good movies.
ใส่เขาน่าจะรอไฟบาลอนทีเดียวเลยมั้งคุณผู้ฟังไม่ผิดไฟมังกรคือไม่มี
Maybe I'll watch it then.
แทบไม่มีทีมไหนโซนบาลอนเลยอาจจะแบบทั้งสองทีมอาจจะคิดว่าแบบเขาเรียกว่าอะไรเดเมจยังไม่พออะไรเงี้ย
Watch the one with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
นั่นแหละเราดูมังกรไป
I don't think so.
That one you would love. That one's very good. And the reason why we talk about Mission Impossible is because Corky is about to hit his third item spike.
Yeah, and then it'll be Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
DRX.
Exactly. maybe DRX just win though, because I do think.
There we go. He got it.
Yep, there's Eclipse. There's Package, and 20 seconds. DRX need either an amazing engage or a big pick. They can't afford to play it slow because they will get whittled down. If we see BDD's waiting, just sitting in base. This vibe
จริงๆถ้าโคกิมันใช้เกตของมันไอ้สกิลวอคิลี่ที่อัปเกรดของมันสวยๆนี่คือเลือดเซนหน้าหายไปวันครึ่งหลอดเลยนะเพราะว่าไอ้ไฟของไอ้แพ็กเกจของโคกิมันแรงนะแต่ต้องใช้แบบสวยๆเพราะตอนแรกที่ใช้คือใช้แล้วแบบใช้หนีไง
Yeah, I really think they should just go over
เพราะว่าตอนโคกิใช้แพ็กเกจนี่มันขัดไม่ได้นะมันอารมณ์คล้ายๆเวลาน็อกเพลย์ใช้อันเดียคุณผู้ฟังคนแล้วคือแบบ
the big ones are not hitting, and you know what? DRX are actually going to start up this Baron. As we do have a bit of a skirmish here in mid. BDD still not hitting these missiles.
KT รู้ตัวแล้ว
Satab going to come over the wall. They do know this is happening. Package is used. Rascal is burning pretty low, and the Infernal Drake did go to death as nearly able to take out Rascal there, but not quite enough. And KT going to stop this Baron as well. So at the end of the day, KT they got another Drake, and they're just continuing to scale.
เซนหน้าวิ่งไปด้วยน่าจะได้เวลาแต่ว่าถ้าเซนหน้าวิ่งไปมันก็เสียป้องกันแล้วก็อาจจะ
Ult coming out and the engage from
ให้ฝั่งเคทีอาจจะอ้อมหลัง
not
มา
really
แล้ว
going to work out, but a lot of
เผื่อจะ
damage
ไม่ได้
coming in. Rascal as well on the flank, trying to make something of this, but an ult on a barrel. He's trying to sacrifice. Oh, but he can't. They take out Death, and now Barrel is gone as well. DRX. They call their bluff in mid lane, and they do not allow the siege, and now they could look at this Baron.
And that ult from Sponge was big. Pioshik actually, I think, knocked Barrel out of his Abyssal Dive animation, because otherwise they would have actually gotten the immediate CC combo. We'll see. If KT can deny this, the health bars are low. BDD is dangerous.
Not for Flutter, though, although he is now getting pretty low. He's just trying to zone as the damage is coming in. They get the knock-up on a BDD. He's got to move away.
There's
Pioshik and KT gets over the wall. How did they let that happen? Pioshik, the perfect timing. And he is going to steal the Baron for the team. Perfect and Pioshik immediately do get taken out. As trying to look for a bit more, not going to catch anyone is Death. But man, KT really playing this one on a nice edge, aren't they?
This is some throwback 2022 vibes coming out from KT here. Pioshik. And you see as well, DRX, they're kind of laughing, because you gotta appreciate the gusto with which KT is playing. So this setup actually really nice. If that Abyssal Dive lands, if Pioshik doesn't cancel that, like that fight is just immediately donezo. It looks like maybe KT is able to get out, but the teleport from Rascal plus the longer engage is actually enough. Not the best ultimate from Perfect either. Tries to save his team members, but only a couple make it out. And then here, this is all credit to BDD for drawing as much attention. There was a slightly early smite from Sponge, I think. Although, you know, both junglers smote, so it's always hard in these 50-50 flip scenarios. Take another look.
ฝั่ง KT ก็ไม่มีบัฟบาลอนเหลือแล้วเหมือนกัน
But I think it goes into 300 and then even low, and then Pioshik is the one who actually picks it up. But that keeps them in the game, because DRX still got a bunch of kills off of that. Still was able to maintain a decent amount of map control, and a lot of the Baron buff hasn't really been utilized because either members were dead or they were fleeing from DRX. But means that this game just kind of remains in place.
Yeah, I mean, as long as DRX get hard engages and they don't get poked, they have a decent chance in team fights. Now, if they sit here and they take a bunch of damage and they allow KD to posture and, you know, get a bunch more of these objectives, then obviously the Corky's going to win. That's what he does. but I really love how DRX were very proactive and
ว่า
they're like,
DRX คิว
no, we're
นำ
not
ตั้
scared
ง
of
แต่
you. We're
คิว
gonna
แต่
look
ว่า
for this
เงิน
play.
ก็ไม่ได้ห่างกันเยอะ
And
นะคุณ
just a
ผู้ฟัง
great call by whoever
ประมาณ1,000 เดียว
was calling for the team in that moment, and it plays out very well for them. Baron steal notwithstanding.
Yeah, they lose the flip, but this is still miles ahead of what we've seen from DRX, right, in the last couple of weeks. So,
ครึ่งชิ้นยังไม่ได้เลย
see if it's enough to actually get them the win, because there is
ประมาณ
still
ครึ่งชิ้น
a
ดีแต่ว่ามันก็
very, very healthy Corki, as well as Def, even with that one Def. Got the biggest cash in that he needed anyway to kind of be out of the curve. But at the same time, you gotta imagine how it feels for KT, because yes, they have 2 Infernal Drakes, but it's also 9-1 in kill score, and I do feel like they've been on the back foot for most of the game. And we know the gold exactly. We know what's been happening. As this is a very unsurprising damage graph, and it's not getting better. I don't think.
No,
like, I think that's
gonna get
continue.
Worse. Yeah. BDD will probably end up in this game if it goes for another 10 minutes with at least 4 EK damage. He was struggling to hit the missiles though in mid, so hopefully he can figure that out. Would be important. Now we do have another Drake about to spawn.
This is the big one. Soul point for either team.
And that would be 3 Infernal Drakes for a Corki.
Oh no.
So yeah, and not just Corki. We've put a lot of focus on Corki, but there's also a Rumble in the top lane and a Draven who does his fair share damage if he gets an opportunity. See that the gold difference.
It's kind of crazy though. Without the passive, he would only be up like 400 gold. And obviously this is the split Senna situation because they went for double support item, but still pretty remarkable. As now it's DRX doing the opposite, forcing KT to go in. KT don't really want to do that.
But
they do have the package, but this is already too low. And KT are not going to be able to get in here on time. Pyosik not going to send the ult, and DRX, a very nice escape. Everybody just runs away. Very smooth. No chances taken. There's no Baron on the map, so they just get in and get out. And no package utilization.
And now DRX sitting on Soul Point. And I do think it's really important to note and repeat what we've done a bunch of times already is that the Corki is an insurance policy, but it's not enough. No, to it again, the knock up!
Wait, how did they know they were there? That's insane, but the equalizer is so huge on Atleta. He's taking way too much damage. The flanking Aatrox is out, but the Yone ultimate is good. Not good enough as KT, they are on the run. BDD is going to be able to Valkyrie away from Rascal now, who is sitting on a bunch of damage. Beryl going to force his flash away. DRX, they knew they were there, but still not able to capitalize.
I think that they knew that someone was there. If they knew it was 3 people, I'm not so sure whether they go for that. DRX taking some risk to this one. If they have like the Yone ult immediately layered on top of that, I think you win that. Right? If it's just a little cleaner. Now it just was mostly funny.
Yeah.
Right? If Yone's there,
มันไม่มีบอลแน่
can you just like imagine a Yone on top of that? That would have been possibly game winning for them instead.
Dead in that case.
Yeah, Pioche again has been really on point with these ultimates, making sure because if that Aatrox gets a single reset, might also be the end of the health bars of Beryl and Perfect. As Rascal. I'm not sure if it would have hit, but it's a Nautilus Q, so best not run the race.
Yeah, it's that thing is going to hit a lot of stuff that it probably shouldn't a lot of the time. That is the way of the Nautilus. And now the Baron is available, but DRX, they got that one Infernal Drake, and it's staggered now. It's not, okay, well, we got to fight over the Drake, and the Baron might get stolen. It's like, okay, well, we got 3 minutes before the next Dragon to potentially threaten this Baron, and DRX's position as a team is in a better spot right now than KT. BDD does not have a package. They do not have vision of the Baron.
I'm doing a good job of zoning here, playing it very far forward. Just sponge it, say that was enough. Look how fast they go through this with just the 2 of them.
เขาแบบนี้ว่าทั้ง2ทีมนี้ของ3ทีมนี้คือเอาบอลใช้เวลาแบบเดียวมาก
Yeah, I think they've learned from the last time that Pyosik is not messing around when it comes to these Barons.
And Teddy only sitting on 106 soul at 33 minutes. I think a lot of that is the fact that he is also farming, right? So does have a lot more money, and we still see that he is at the top of the damage charts, Corki notwithstanding. See if that is going to be enough. And KT, they don't have any vision. They don't really want to take any big risks.
Yeah, they don't know if it's happening right now. They're
pushing.
You know, they don't have any clue. And they're going to send in a missile and get some information. Nosing is over there very early on, as is Beryl. And Perfect is isolated on the right side of this one. Gets pushed away. Beryl is all alone. The ult comes through onto the Nautilus. They take out Beryl immediately. And now you just don't have a support. How are you going to get in here?
Rascal also on the flanking positions. This might be it for DRX.
This is a rough position for KT. They're trying to get out of here. Pleto with the engage. The equalizer not that great, and the double knockup comes through. As Poppycopter comes in, and he dodges it. And now they don't have it for the rest of the fight. KT, they're up against the wall. And the damage from Corki is pretty negligible. If he can't hit his missiles, they get in onto the Corki. Down he goes, and Perfect is gone as well. And KT are just getting wiped by DRX.
Deft gets a kill, but that's all that they're really going to get out of that. Even with Sponge down, with no one there to back Bioshick up, I don't know if he can contest this. They do need to make sure, keep track of where he's with that teleport. I think that's going to be the end of it. He just can't walk in. Not even Bioshick can steal this one. And a big win for DRX with another turn onto Barrow.
I mean, what can you say? Like, they're floundering, they're desperately trying to get in. Perfect's getting isolated on the right side. It's all very messy. Barrel's like putting his face way deep into this pit. And then, of course, he's going to get picked off. Sponge has been on point. Satab sets this one up. And it's just one by one, the dominoes fell.
And what's really big here is Satab has gone for a full damage build, right? He's sitting on IE. He's sitting on Kraken Slayer. So, initially, when he ulted Barrow, I'm like, I don't know if you get through. This is a man with Frozen Heart, a man with teammates, but just the Sejuani and the damage of this full Glass Cannon Yone is more than enough. And then from here on out, they slowly get whittled down. Normally, it's the Corki comp that is able to win these as BDD there. W into the Satab knockup, not going to feel good. And now with the Baron buff, Soul on the table.
Look at this.
Wait, he TP'd mid. Oh, they're just full sending it. I don't know about that. If they can get 2 inhibitors, though, that's 100% worth it.
I mean, I feel like they could have just went for the Infernal Soul, though. If they had Baron buff, they could have just went for the push after getting Infernal Soul.
No, I know.
Although, this is going to work out perfectly, so never mind. Okay, DRX, shut me up right away, as they're going to get a huge pick on the BDD. And I think this game is over. They just only have Perfect and Deft.
คือเซจูนี่สตันใช่ไหมแล้วก็ที่โยเนสอันดีซ้ำอีกแล้วเจนน่ามีสกิลฟีตามมาด้วยเดเมจแบบล้วน
Making KT look silly here in game number 1, 15-3. And the kills are stacking up even more as in the fountain they go, and DRX with a clean victory here in game number 1. And this series just got a whole lot.